have enough time to rectify coming to their third match maybe. And at that particular time is when now we'll be able to see if Kenya is ready for World Cup 2020.
I want you to hold on to that. We'll get into the individual performance of players from yesterday, but I want us to listen in to what the head coach Engin Firat had to say after Kenya got its first win in the qualifiers.
In this situation, we was leading very clear, and therefore it was time also to give these boys their chance. Benson worked well, and Nabi worked well, and therefore I decided not to play with experienced players in the last minutes, more with the young ones, like we always do. So therefore, like I said, we are a team. Nobody can expect to play all the time. Nobody should think that he has no chance. If somebody is in our team, he should be always ready to play. Everybody who knows a little bit from football knows if goalkeeper, right back, left back, 3 central defenders are missing. It's not only about that the quality is going down. These players, they never play together. It's very difficult for them to pass together, to know where to stay, whatever. This has everything to do with working together and to know each other. So therefore we had, you saw in the match against Gabon especially, that we didn't pass so well like we have done, for example, against Russia, against Qatar, because we had problems to open the game. So this is quite normal. So, and if I think, look, in this situation, I'm very clear about it. If we would be full team against Gabon, now we would be with 6 points. This is the reality, and I don't care what other people are saying, and because I care only what the boys are doing and how they think. And I know that the boys after the match against Gabon was very disappointed, like everybody of us, and also today they understood that it's only a step for us.
That is Engin Firat, Cedric Musumba, saying that this is the right move after that 5-0 win against Seychelles yesterday. And he's saying that, you know, after the 2-1 loss to Gabon, the boys were demotivated, and now they are looking forward to the remaining fixtures. Remember, we played 2. We have 8 more matches to go, almost 7 months before the qualifiers come to an end. But I want us to take a look at the individual performances from yesterday, and one man in particular. That is Engineer Michael Olunga, as they like to call him, Engineer. 2 goals for Harambee Stars yesterday. What did you make of his, general performance?
Yeah, it was a psychological boost, if you ask me, to Olunga, given that he has been trying to come back to the Olunga that we know with a lot of difficulties. You might think that at some point, actually, there was some kind of conversation that his form was deepening. But and again, yesterday, given that Seychelles is ranked number 105 in the world, we needed more from him. You remember he was given all the sorts of the question that we were asking for him to answer. But yesterday, he only happened to answer 2 questions. After all those several kind of
How many do you think he could have answered?
I think going by how yesterday deliverings that were really being presented to him, Olunga was capable of even putting in 5 goals. He had a lot of chances that he could have actually killed the game. It's a kind of an element that I'm seeing from Olunga. He's not the same clinical Olunga we used to know. He's not good in front of goal, and he needs to work in that kind of finishing ability so that coming to the next match, he needs to be the same from goal. Remember, equally Olunga is still young. Olunga is not quite comparable to Cristiano Ronaldo, neither Luka Modric. He still has an edge ahead of him to continue giving results for this country for ours. What he needs just to do is to composure in front of goal and become clinical when given or presented chances like what he had yesterday.
But he really needed those goals after that, long drought that he's had.
Going with all kind of fingers that were really being pointed at him, given that we are 50 million Kenyans and he wanted to embrace. And remember, he's a player that we have celebrated for all along. At some point, he took Kenya to Africa Cup of Nations. This was his moment to come back. And given that they were playing Mino, if you ask me, Seychelles is not anywhere comparable to Kenya. I think Kenya is comparable to Gabon, given the number. Gabon
We've actually never lost to Seychelles.
But how Olunga should have come back would have come back in a style of 3, 4, 5 goals that Olunga we know. And also remember, we needed also that boost that when we face Ivory Coast, we need to start comparing ourselves with Ivory Coast. Now that Ivory Coast had actually put 9 goals past Seychelles, Kenya needed around 8 or even surpass those 9
to make us take.
Yeah, to make us say that if we meet Ivory Coast, we are ready actually to play against Ivory Coast.
One man was pulling strings in the midfield, and that is Odada. I mean, what can you make of the performances so far from the 2 games that he's played?
You know, I think Kenya is so talented if it comes to midfield.
Yes.
And that's where we have so many players actually compete. And that competition has been so healthy to this national team.
Yes.
Remember that the first time when he was introduced, he had us glimpse that everyone would really point and say, this is a promising player. And yesterday, and even the Gabon match, everyone was talking about Odada. He's a player who really settled on the ball. He knows how to spread his passes. He knows how to win those balls. And I think, if you ask me, Odada is a 3-in-1. He can fall back to defend when called for. He can actually hold that ball at the center when it's needed, and he can spread those passes to complement the offensive. Remember, we had a two-twin kind of attack. That was Masood and Olunga. And these are kind of a player who could win those balls and give them a competitive edge when it comes to attacking. Odada, to me, it was an A+. If you ask me, given how the work rate he gave in that particular match, and if he continues like that, he won't be trading in a Division 1. He's a player who should be in a top flight league, if you ask me.
Yes, yesterday we saw Marcelo back in the team, and I mean, you could tell that this is somebody who was very, very hungry to make sure that Kenya wins. That is Eric Ouma Marcelo.
Yeah, there are actually some, let's say, misdoing from the technical bench that we highlighted in our game against Gabon, if you remember, Robbie. And yesterday, while you watching this game, at some point, I think you could see some miseries that I was throwing into your WhatsApp or social media platform, let me say so. But I told you at some point that it seems as if Kenya does not have a player to really compete these fullback positions. Remember, when Marcelo came back, you could see that stability now in that particular position. And again now, the only way that we need
is overlapping runs.
Those are the kind of player that the modern kind of soccer is a player who can really run through those particular lines, a player who can go forward and attack, and he can provide a defensive measure when called for. And these are the kind of the Marcelo that we have been seeing all along. Remember in Africa Cup of Nations, he played alongside Abud Omar. They actually supported each other in each and every aspect. They would go forward together, they would come back together, and that's what has been lacking. When Marcelo came back yesterday, that fullback three actually was stabilized at some point. The only wing that was really presenting some kind of flips, and I think we need to work hard to get that position healed before our game 3. It's the fullback twos. Fullbacks too, Amos Nondi, if you ask me, he might be there or he's not there, because against Seychelles, you could see him winning balls. But if it comes to the point of spreading those balls, he was actually not spreading those balls perfectly. All of his passes, majority of his passes was at some point being intercepted, and that should not be the case. All midfielders and strikers are looking for this wing back to run and supply them with balls. That's how you'll get goals. Against the team of Ivory Coast, you do such kind of mistakes, you will, and you will live to rule those chances that you create from the wing, if not supplying your attackers or your offensive or your center forward with those kind of balls. They will not score goals for you.
Now, as much as we complain about Harambee Stars, there is one player that has been very, very outstanding aside from you know, the likes of Odada, and that is Rooney Onyango. And yesterday, he was on the score sheet.
You know, when I hear Ingen Ferret talking about he doesn't care what other people say, he's quite focused on what he's doing, and actually presents a question of, okay, we like or you like what you are doing, but what are you putting in measures as a plan B? Let me say, if all the first 11 that you have in point hit by a mess, who is this player that will come into fit in? And we saw him struggling against Gabon simply because their back four were not really ready.
Gabon was being played out of position.
But no, I'm talking about Ingen Ferret. Now you see why, if I come back to the likes of Rooney, these are kind of tacticians who should have the Rooneys in this particular team. And Moaso against Seychelles, that was one of the best match actually to present your or to test your player. After putting in like 5 goals or 4 goals, you need to start bringing in the likes of Rooneys, not necessarily this Rooney, the other Rooneys that we have in this country. Yesterday actually Rooney stood out, if you ask me. He has been given some kind of space actually to showcase his talent, and he's not that disappointing. We can see that eye, you can see that spirit. A player who wants actually not necessarily continue playing in Kenya, in Gor Mahia, but he also eyeing maybe to have that mark in the world. And it's he's still young, and I think his future is bright. Going by how he has played against Gabon, and now coming maybe against Seychelles. If given those 7 months that are ahead of him, maybe when he come back to Harambee, he will be a different Rooney, comparable to the last 2 matches that we have seen him trading for the national team.
Briefly, your comments on Omala scoring on his debut and Dennis Nganga for the last 2 games.
He's still okay. I know I will be castigated at some point because my opinion is not a popular opinion that people would like to hear.
Yes.
It's good that he was given a chance to showcase after all that
the
popular opinion.
Yes.
But yesterday and again, just as it has been, I see him actually presenting what he had ever, carrying whatever he does here in our local league.
Yes.
Scoring from an offside position, poor touch, poor fast touch. Because I remember there was a certain pass he was given. Was it like by Odada? He had a very prime position actually. If he could have controlled that ball and maybe leave the defender to score.
Yes.
But his fast touch actually missed him, and he presented a chance for the defender to win that particular ball. That fast touch aspect is what we are talking about. How you move your ball around, how you control your ball if you are a striker. Remember, strikers should not think twice. Those chances are presented only once.
Yes.
Just like lightning, it can only strike once. If these strikers can really start living to that mark of controlling the balls once and may trying to hit the back of the net, then Omala will be one of the top-notch strikers. Remember, we have a Yunga who is trading in Scotland. When he's full fit, he will come to compete for this position. When he come and Omala is not really living to the expectation, what will it be? He will actually disposition him.
Yes.
He need actually to live to his mark and try to present the quality that the Kenyan has been asking for him to do.
So let's take a look at the results from other matches that were played yesterday. Cedric, of course, aside from Kenya playing Seychelles 5-0 was the final score. We had Djibouti losing to Guinea-Bissau, 1-0 was the score. Equatorial Guinea with a 1-0 win against Liberia. Ivory Coast, the team that we in the same group, 2-0 win against Gambia, and then Mali with a 1-1 draw against Central African Republic. And the other match saw Madagascar get a 3-0 win against Chad. So those are the results from matches that were played yesterday. So let's jump in to the fixtures that we have today. 15 matches will be played today, and I want Cedric to give us his predictions. Let's take a look at the fixtures that we have. Cedric, today's fixture, Ethiopia versus Burkina Faso. Who's winning that?
Burkina Faso will win.
Lesotho, Benin.
Lesotho will win.
Rwanda, South Africa.
South Africa has been actually presenting what we used to see it doing in 1996. I think they're on the top form currently. And now that they're playing away, maybe a draw.
Yes, sir. The other fixtures that we have for the day, we'll see Swaziland take on Cape Verde.
Cape Verde has been a cog in this particular continent.
Yes.
I think it has left a mark, and coming to this particular match, it should be coming out.
Our neighbors, Uganda taking on neighbors Somalia.
Uganda will win against Somalia.
Botswana, Guinea.
Guinea will win.
Guinea.
I hope it's not Equatorial Guinea.
No. The Equatorial Guinea played yesterday, so this is Guinea.
Guinea will win.
Guinea will win. Let's take a look at the other fixtures that we have. Malawi, Tunisia. Very interesting.
Tunisia will win against Malawi.
South Sudan versus Mauritania.
Mauritania will win against Southern Sudan.
Togo versus Senegal.
Obviously, Senegal will win this particular battle.
Mauritius, Angola.
Angola will win.
Today you have very clear, outright picks for who's winning. Libya, Cameroon.
Cameroon will win.
Sao Tome and Principe versus Namibia.
Namibia will win against Sao Tome.
Comoros versus Ghana. Very interesting time.
Very tricky.
Yes.
A draw. We'll do justice for them.
Yes. Tanzania will be at home taking on Morocco.
That's another tricky, but Morocco has been a team that has given Africa actually an eye opener if it comes to World Soccer Arena.
Yes.
And I think coming to Tanzania, which is actually growing very fast, it is soccer proacity. I think Tanzania should be working hard to collect a draw from this. If not, Morocco will win.
And then finally, Niger versus Zambia.
Of late, Zambia has been playing good soccer.
Yes. The first match was 4-2 win
and
against
they picked
Congo.
a draw against Rwanda. I think they played against Rwanda.
The first match in the qualifiers was
against
4-2
Congo.
win against Congo.
Then their second match
today
against Niger.
Yes.
I think Zambia will win this particular game.
Zambia will win. And finally, make it very brief. What next for Kenya?
Yeah, Kenya, I think we have managed 3 points.
Yes.
And that has been good for them actually to bring the country back to the contention. They need to take this remaining 6 months before they face another, because they are not in Africa Cup of Nations. And they need to watch this team closely in Africa Cup. Gabon is an Africa Cup of Nations.
Yes.
They need to watch them closely and how they play, simply because coming forward back after 7 months, things might be different. Africa Cup of Nations is a